At Westbridge Academy, everyone knew Darian Vale. He was the boy no one dared approach without a reason, the school's richest heir, its top student, and its most feared presence. Girls confessed their feelings to him almost weekly, but Darian rejected every one with the same cold expression. "I'm not interested." He never explained why. Some called him arrogant. Others whispered that he had no heart at all. Darian didn't care. He had learned long ago that affection was dangerous. The moment you allowed someone to matter, they gained the power to hurt you. Then Elara Quinn arrived. She was a junior, quiet and modest, with a habit of helping people who never asked for help. She shared her lunch with hungry classmates, carried books for exhausted teachers, and left food outside the security guard's booth when she noticed him working late. Darian first noticed her during a freezing rainstorm. While everyone else rushed through the school gates, Elara stood beneath a broken umbrella, shielding a trembling stray kitten with her own body. Darian stopped. His friend Kellen Rhodes stared at him. "Why aren't you moving?" Darian watched the girl shivering in the rain. "She'll get sick." Kellen smirked. "Since when do you care?" "I don't." Darian walked away. The next morning, Elara found a new winter coat draped over her chair. There was no note. She knew exactly who had left it. That afternoon, she approached Darian. "Thank you." He didn't look up from his book. "For what?" "The coat." "You're mistaken." Elara smiled. "Then I suppose someone else has been secretly buying my size." Darian finally looked at her. She wasn't afraid of him. That irritated him more than it should have. From then on, their strange friendship grew in silence. He left hot chocolate on her desk whenever she stayed late. She slipped handwritten reminders into his textbooks. "Eat something. You look exhausted. You don't have to pretend you're fine all the time." Darian kept every note. He told himself it meant nothing. Then one afternoon, 3 senior students cornered Elara behind the gym. They mocked her worn-out shoes, knocked her books into a puddle, and laughed when she tried to retrieve them. One boy grabbed her wrist. "Who gave you permission to act so innocent?" Elara struggled. "Let me go." A calm voice stopped them. "Take your hand off her." The boy turned. Darian stood at the end of the corridor. His expression was cold enough to silence the laughter. "Darian, this isn't your business." Darian walked closer. "It is now." The boy refused to release Elara. Darian glanced at his hand. 3 seconds. The boy immediately let go. Darian picked up Elara's soaked books, then removed his own coat and placed it around her shoulders. She stared at him. "You came." Darian avoided her eyes. "I was passing by." "You hate this part of campus." "I changed my mind." For the first time, Elara saw something beneath his coldness. Not cruelty. Fear. Darian looked at her bruised wrist. His jaw tightened. "Who did this?" Elara shook her head. "It's nothing." Darian's eyes darkened. "It won't be nothing to them." Elara suddenly understood. The boy everyone called heartless was furious because someone had hurt her, and that frightened her almost as much as it warmed her heart. Neither of them knew that this moment would become the beginning of something neither could escape. Because 3 weeks later, Darian was forced to leave the country. And on the very day he planned to tell Elara how he truly felt, she vanished without saying goodbye. All he found was a single note inside his locker. "Darian, please forget me." For the first time in his life, the Cold King ran. But when he reached the school gate, Elara was already gone. And 5 years would pass before he saw her again. 5 years changed Darian Vale into someone almost unrecognizable. At 23, he had become the youngest executive in his family's corporation, feared in boardrooms and admired by the business world. He was wealthier, more influential, and even colder than before. Yet every winter, Darian remembered a girl standing in the rain with a broken umbrella. He remembered her smile. He remembered her notes. Most of all, he remembered the final one. "Please forget me." He never did. When Darian returned to Westbridge City, he told himself he had no reason to visit the academy. He went anyway. The school looked smaller than he remembered, but the old courtyard remained unchanged. Darian stood beneath the same trees where Elara had once teased him about secretly leaving her a winter coat. Then he saw her. She was standing across the street beneath a blue umbrella. For 5 years, Darian had imagined this moment countless times. None of those dreams prepared him for the reality. Elara had grown older, but her kindness remained visible in the way she spoke to an elderly woman beside her. She carried herself with quiet confidence now, yet there was something fragile in her eyes that made Darian wonder what she had endured. He crossed the street. Elara looked up. The umbrella slipped slightly from her hand. Neither spoke. Darian's carefully prepared words disappeared. Finally, he said the only thing he could manage. "You came back." Elara's expression trembled. "No." Her voice was soft. "You did." Darian stared at her. He wanted to ask why she had vanished. Why she had abandoned him. Why she had made him believe he meant nothing. Instead, he noticed the thin scar near her wrist. His expression changed. "What happened to you?" Elara immediately pulled her sleeve over it. "Nothing." Darian knew that answer. She had used it 5 years ago. He stepped closer. "Elara." She looked away. "Don't." "Don't what?" "Don't look at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you still care." Darian went still. For the first time since returning, his perfect composure cracked. "What makes you think I stopped?" Elara's eyes filled with tears. Before she could answer, a young boy called her name from across the street. "Ellie." Elara turned. The boy was sitting in a wheelchair. She hurried toward him. Darian watched as she knelt beside him and adjusted his blanket with practiced tenderness. "Are you cold, Milo?" "A little." She immediately removed her scarf and wrapped it around him. Darian recognized the gesture. She had always given away whatever she had. Even when she had almost nothing. Later, he learned the truth. Milo Quinn was Elara's younger brother. 5 years earlier, shortly after Elara disappeared, Milo had been injured in a devastating accident. His medical treatment had consumed the family's savings. Elara had left school to care for him. She had worked multiple jobs, studied at night, and eventually became a counselor at a community center that helped struggling families. Darian listened without interrupting. Then he asked the question that had haunted him for years. "Why didn't you tell me?" Elara's fingers tightened around her cup. "Because I knew what you'd do. Help you. Save me." Darian's eyes hardened. "Would that have been so terrible?" "Yes." She finally looked at him. "Because I didn't want to become another person your family had to rescue." Darian frowned. "What does my family have to do with this?" Elara's silence answered him. She reached into her bag and pulled out an old newspaper clipping. Darian read the headline. His blood turned cold. The accident that had nearly destroyed Elara's family had been caused by a company owned by the Vale Group. Darian looked up. Elara was already crying. "I didn't leave because I stopped loving you." The words struck him harder than any accusation. "I left because I discovered who your family was." Darian stared at her. 5 years of anger suddenly collapsed beneath the weight of one terrible possibility. He had believed Elara abandoned him. But perhaps she had been running from him to protect herself. Or worse. Someone had made her believe she had to. Darian folded the newspaper slowly. His voice became dangerously quiet. "Tell me everything." Elara shook her head. "You don't want to know." Darian stepped closer. "I waited 5 years to hear the truth." He looked into her tearful eyes. "I'm not waiting another day." And somewhere in the distance, an unfamiliar man watched them from inside a black car. He recognized Darian. He recognized Elara. And when he saw them standing together again, he made a phone call. She found him. A pause. Then his smile disappeared. "It's time to finish what we started." Darian did not sleep that night. The newspaper clipping lay on his desk, its headline accusing the Vale Group of negligence. Yet something about the report disturbed him. The accident had occurred 5 years ago, but the official investigation had been unusually brief, and several crucial documents were missing. By sunrise, Darian had ordered a private investigation. By noon, he had found the first contradiction. The company vehicle blamed for the accident had been inspected 2 weeks before the tragedy and declared safe. Someone had altered the records afterward. Darian's anger turned into something colder. Someone had deliberately destroyed Elara's family. And someone had made sure he never learned the truth. When he confronted Elara, she refused to discuss it further. "I survived," she said. "That's enough." "No." Darian's voice was quiet. "It isn't enough for me." She looked at him bitterly. "You always want to fix everything." "Not everything." His gaze softened. "Just what matters to me." Elara's heart stumbled. She turned away before he could see it. "You can't come back after 5 years and decide you still own a place in my life." Darian stepped closer. "I don't want to own anything." "Then what do you want?" He hesitated. The answer was too dangerous to hide. "You." Elara's eyes widened. Darian immediately regretted how honest he had been. But before she could respond, her phone rang. It was Milo's nurse. Elara answered. Her expression changed instantly. "What do you mean he's gone?" Darian stood. Elara rushed from the room. They reached the rehabilitation center within minutes. Milo's wheelchair was still there. His phone lay shattered on the floor. Darian's instincts sharpened. This wasn't a disappearance. It was a warning. Then Elara found a message written on the wall. "You took 5 years from us. Now we'll take everything from you." Elara went pale. Darian stepped in front of her. "Stay behind me." She grabbed his arm. "Who are they?" Darian stared at the message. "I don't know." A phone rang from inside the empty room. Darian answered. A distorted voice spoke. "You should have stayed away from her." Darian's expression became lethal. "Where is Milo?" "Alive." Elara covered her mouth. The voice continued. "For now." Darian tightened his grip on the phone. "What do you want?" "Your family buried the truth 5 years ago. Tonight, you'll dig it back up." The call ended. Darian immediately traced the signal. The location appeared. An abandoned railway station. He wanted to call the police, but the kidnapper sent another message. "Come with Elara. Come alone." Darian refused to let her go. Elara refused to stay behind. "I've already lost 5 years because people made decisions for me." She looked him directly in the eyes. "I'm not losing my brother because you think you can protect everyone." Darian stared at her. Then he understood. Elara wasn't the helpless girl he remembered. She was frightened, but she was brave enough to walk into danger for the person she loved. So they went together. The station was deserted. They found Milo inside an old maintenance building, bound but unharmed. Elara rushed toward him. A metal door slammed shut behind her. Darian turned. A man stepped from the shadows. Cashin Rook. Darian recognized him immediately. He had once been a senior executive at the Vale Group. "You," Darian said. Cashin smiled. "Your father destroyed my life." Darian's eyes narrowed. "You caused the accident." Cashin's smile vanished. "I exposed what your family was hiding." "No." Darian stepped forward. "You falsified the records." Cashin laughed. "And your father covered it up to protect the company." Elara froze. Darian's world shifted. The truth was worse than he imagined. His father had not caused the accident. But he had known about it. And he had buried the evidence. Cashin suddenly grabbed Elara. Darian moved instantly. "Let her go." Cashin pressed a knife against her throat. "You want her alive?" Darian stopped. For the first time, fear showed clearly in his eyes. Cashin smiled. "There it is." He whispered to Elara. The famous Cold King finally has something to lose. Then the lights went out. A gunshot shattered the darkness. Elara screamed. When the emergency lights flickered back on, Cassian was gone. So was Milo. Darian looked around wildly. Elara. She was standing alone. In the center of the floor lay a single blood-stained piece of Darian's coat. And beneath it was another message. Come alone if you want them both alive. Darian stared at the blood-stained fabric. For one terrible second, the world seemed to stop. Then his phone rang. He answered immediately. Cassian's voice came through the darkness. You have 1 hour. Darian's fists tightened. If you touch them, you'll come alone. The call ended. Darian turned to Elara. She was trembling, but her eyes were determined. I'm coming with you. No. Darian. You're staying here. Her expression hardened. You don't get to decide that anymore. He stared at her. Elara stepped closer. 5 years ago, everyone decided my life for me. My family. Your family. Circumstances. I won't let you do the same. Darian wanted to argue. Instead, he reached for her hand. Then stay beside me. They followed Cassian's clues to an abandoned factory outside the city. Inside, they found Milo tied to a chair. Elara rushed toward him. But Cassian appeared above them. Stop. Darian moved in front of Elara. Cassian held a remote detonator. 5 years ago, your father buried the truth, he said. He knew the accident was caused by my illegal modifications. He paid people to destroy the evidence. Darian's face tightened. Why blame Elara? Because her family found the missing records. Elara froze. Cassian smiled. They were going to expose me. Darian finally understood. Elara had never been abandoned by chance. She had been targeted because her family knew the truth. And someone had spent 5 years ensuring she remained silent. Cassian raised the detonator. Your father protected his company. I protected myself. But now I want one thing. What? Your entire empire. Darian looked at Elara, then at Milo, then back at Cassian. You can have it. Elara stared at him. Darian, no. He continued. Every company, every property, every account. Cassian laughed. You'd give up everything? Darian's answer was immediate. For them. Cassian lowered the detonator. That was his mistake. Darian lunged. The remote flew across the floor. Cassian attacked, but Darian fought with desperate determination. When Cassian reached for the weapon hidden beneath his coat, Elara struck his arm with a metal bar. The weapon fell. Security officers stormed inside. Darian had secretly alerted them before entering. Cassian was arrested. Milo was rescued. But Darian didn't stay to celebrate. He ran to Elara. She was standing beneath the factory's broken roof, crying silently. Darian approached. Are you hurt? She shook her head. You were going to give him everything. I would have. Why? Darian stared at her. Because I already lost you once. His voice broke. I won't lose you again. Elara stepped closer. You idiot. Darian almost smiled. Then she kissed him. This time, he didn't hesitate. He wrapped his arms around her as though 5 years of separation had finally ended. When they pulled apart, Elara whispered, I never stopped loving you. Darian closed his eyes. I know. She frowned. How? Because you left me a note telling me to forget you. Elara laughed through her tears. That doesn't make sense. It does to me. Months later, the truth about the accident became public. Darian's father resigned from the company and confessed to hiding the evidence. Cassian was convicted. Milo recovered. But the greatest surprise came when Darian announced that he was stepping away from the Vale Empire. Elara stared at him. You gave it up? No. He smiled. I changed it. Darian transformed the company into a foundation dedicated to helping families destroyed by corporate negligence. He named Elara its director. Then, on the first anniversary of Cashin's arrest, Darian brought her to the old Westbridge courtyard. The place was filled with flowers. Elara looked around. What is this? Darian took her hand. Something I should have done 5 years ago. He knelt. Elara covered her mouth. Darian. I spent half my life believing love was a weakness. He opened a ring box. Then you disappeared, and I discovered the truth. His eyes held hers. Love wasn't what made me weak. He smiled. Losing you was. Tears filled Elara's eyes. So I'm asking you now. Darian held out the ring. Don't disappear again. Elara laughed through her tears. Only if you stop being so cold. I can't promise that. Then I'll have to keep you warm. Darian smiled. Is that a yes? Elara threw her arms around him. Yes. Everyone around them erupted in cheers. But Darian had one final surprise. He led Elara to a small building beside the courtyard. She opened the door. Inside was a youth center filled with books, art supplies, and scholarships for students who had nowhere else to turn. Elara stared at him. You built this. Darian shook his head. We built it. She looked at the children gathering outside. Then she looked at the boy who had once been called heartless. The Cold King had finally found the one thing he had spent his entire life avoiding. A home. And this time, when Elara took his hand, Darian knew there would be no goodbye waiting for them. Only tomorrow. And every tomorrow after that.